Question 24. By serving the four choices of colon, comma, and transitions, we are asked to link clauses using some transition or some punctuation. The first thing that comes to mind is that when you have a question that is asking one of the choices using a colon, this is the first item that you should always check. And the reason for that is when you have an idea followed by a colon, okay, this idea here is a small a, meaning that this is a description, explanation of sentence A, whereas if you have a semicolon, which we don't have in this one, it's clear that these two ideas are related but different. Using a colon, the first item we want to check is whether this idea followed by colon is actually explaining that. So by looking at the number of jams available for tasting varied, okay? So the number of jams available for tasting varied. Let's see if this idea is actually a description of the number of jams available for tasting. Some shoppers had 24 different options, others only 6. This description here is actually, it's an independent clause. At the same time, this is a description of the number of jams available for tasting. So I know that there's a reason why we had an answer choice A. It's because I know that choice A is correct for first initially checking that this sum down to only 6 is exactly what the number of jams available for tasting is talking about. So I know this is the best way to get to my answer. Now, the other possible choice that students may be tempted to choose is something like choice A, because this is what we called a colloquial answer. When you read it with choice C, it sounds very tempting. So the number of jams available for tasting varied, while some shoppers had 24 different options, others only 6. This idea, okay, when you have independent clause and while, first of all, we use while in the beginning of a sentence to make a grammatically correct sentence, because this is a transition, subordinating conjunction that you use for dependent clause, and then you introduce an independent clause afterwards. But if you do independent clause, comma, while, this is what we call a run-on sentence, because these two are just as big, they're equally weighted big ideas, that the only way to join the two ideas is using fanboys. So if you place two big ideas where there's a while, then this is going to be a run-on choice, okay? And so again, in place where you need this description using a colon, if you place comma while, then it's just illogical, because you're joining two ideas that is not in this comma while relationship. So while is more like a word that you can use to set off a dependent clause, and then you put an independent clause afterwards, and this would make a logical sense. So again, our choice for 24 is A.